Smartphones have come quite a long way from their humble beginnings. Nowadays, there's a surprising amount of power in your pocket. And to understand the impact of Google's move to pull its services from Huawei will have, we need to look at the software behind the device. To do that, it's best to break it up into 4 layers: the user interface, core apps, operating system, and compiler. The one everyone's most familiar with is the user interface, or UI. This is where all the action happens. It's where users can directly interact with the software, be it through screens, sensors, or buttons. Huawei has its own user interface called the EMUI, and that's what's on most Huawei and Honor smartphones. Beneath the interface are the core apps. In the case of most smartphones that use Android OS, those are Google's proprietary apps, like its Play Store and Gmail. They're called Google Mobile Services. This is the part of the software Huawei needs a license for, and where the impact will be most felt. For current users, there won't be any effect at all. The license is covered if you've already bought one. That means you can still have access to all the core apps. The biggest part about this is security updates, which Google can no longer provide as it falls under support. But Huawei assures users it will be providing its own security updates. With core apps, this is where Huawei will have to find alternatives for future users. One core app taking precedence is an app distribution platform like Google Play. Here, they'd be able to create their own or turn to third-party platforms, which are already widely available. Core apps couldn't run if it weren't for the operating system, or OS, running in the background. Because Android doesn't require any licensing, this will be unaffected, save for support from Google. Media reports are floating around that Huawei will gradually roll out its own operating system, dubbed Hongmeng OS. This would give the company a significant amount of freedom on its devices and could stand tall to the monopolies of Apple's iOS and Google's Android. Last but not least is the compiler, which translates the complicated code programmers use to a simpler one that could be understood by operating systems. Huawei has been hard at work creating its own, called the ARC compiler. The recently launched Honor View 20 is the first smartphone to run this. It improves the speed of Android OS by 44% and hints at a future of a more independent Huawei, capable of speaking for itself when it comes to offering consumers something more than just another smartphone. Timothy Ulrich, CGTN.